Hello, Sharpnerians. I hope you guys are doing really well. Extremely happy for you that you already know how to work around with different statements in SQL, and also you know how to work around with joins. You're one step closer with working with SQL in your projects. But there's always something more that we can learn. And today we are going to learn one more use case of joins. Let's try to see how we can make use of joins in different ways. Okay, let's go back to one of the instances that I had when I was working as a backend developer for a firm. So since I was working as a backend developer, I was also responsible for database administration. Remember, the HR reached out to me because she wanted to generate some reports on the employee-manager relationships within the company. As a problem solver who took pride in giving solutions, I took that opportunity to help her because I thought we are only supposed to make use of employee and manager's table or whatever the name of the table is and generate the reports. But the thing was, there was only one table. There was only one table which was named the employee table, and everything was inside that table. Let me take you through the table once. We had one employee table where every employee had a manager ID that referred to another employee in the same table. So over here itself, we can see that Jane with the employee ID 2 has a manager which has the employee ID 1. So we can see from the table itself that the employee ID 1 with the name John is the manager for Jane. However, the problem is that they are not in separate tables. So it would have been much easier for me if I had a different table for manager and a different table for employees. But so since they were in the same table, it was a bit tricky to figure out the reporting structure. So the challenge was that I needed to create a report where for each employee, I could see their name and their manager's name. The problem was even more complicated because CEO, who was at the top of the hierarchy, had no manager. So how did I solve it? Well, at first I tried researching, and to solve this problem, I realized that I could make use of self-joins. It might seem like a new word, but self-join basically means when table is joined to itself. I repeat myself, a self-join is when a table is joined to itself. I could join the employee table to itself. Let's try to see how this will work. So, so what we will do is we'll try to link both the tables and use manager's ID as a condition to compare it to the employee ID from the second table. So by doing this, when they will match, so we will get the employee's name who will be the manager for the table to the left hand side, which is the first table. All right, so let's try to do this once. All right, so this is one replica that I've made for the table that I was working with. So I have employee ID, name, and manager ID. So what I want to do is I want to create a self join on this particular employee table and use manager ID as a joining condition such that I can find the name of the manager, because manager itself is also an employee within the employee table. So let's try to do this. So select star, not star, let's try to print. Let's say the name of the first table is E1. So E1 dot employee ID. And then E1 dot name. And then we want to have the name of the manager. So for that, we will make use of second table, which is E2. So E2 dot name. All right. So from table E1, from table employees, which I've named as E1, join the second table, which is E2. So I'm joining it to the same table. And the condition is the manager ID is equals to the employer ID. All right, let's try to run this. So over here, we can see that we are having the employee with the IDs 2, 3, 4, 5. And we have the name, the employee name. And then we have the name of the manager. For making it more clear, let's make use of aliases. So employee name and as manager name. Let's try to run it. All right, so right now we are having the employee IDs, employee name, and manager name. So we can see that Jane is one employee and the manager is John. So G is one employee and the manager is with the ID 1. And the ID 1 is an employee whose name is John. And Doe in the same way has a manager with ID 1. And the ID 1 employee is named John. All right, so we have received the relationships. We are having the employee name and the manager name as well. We will look closely, we will see that all the employee IDs, they are not mentioned. Right? We are having 5 employee IDs with the IDs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the problem is that we are only having the IDs 2, 3, 4, and 5. So for making sure that all the IDs from the left table, they are shown, we make use of, yes, the answer is left join. Yes, we make use of left join so that the table which is to the left, which is the employee table E1, all the entries for that table is shown irrespective of if it has a match on the right hand side or not. So let's try to run it. All right, so we can see right now that John with the ID 1 doesn't have any manager. And we are also having all the employee IDs listed in this table, which we have created using jobs. Using this table, the HR can create a report on the employee name and the manager names. So, okay, let's try to revise this again. By making use of employee name, we retrieve the name of the employees, and manager name is used to retrieve the name of the manager by joining the employee table to itself. And also I used left join to ensure that employee without managers like John, they can still appear in the report with null for the manager's name. So with this query, I was able to easily generate the employee-manager relationship in the company. The self-join allowed me to query the employee table and link employees to their managers based on their manager ID. This helped me to solve the problem quickly, and I was able to help the HR team with generating the reports. So by making use of self-joins, I avoided creating additional tables or writing more complex code. So self-join helped me keep the solution simple and efficient while still handling the hierarchical data within the same table. So self-join was a perfect solution for a problem because employee-manager relationship was contained in the same table. And by joining the table with itself, I could retrieve the necessary data without adding any complexity to the database. It was clean and effective way to solve a common problem in relational databases. I hope you had a good time learning more about use case of joins. Was not very straightforward, but for data which is hierarchical, we can make use of self joins. Thank you for joining, everyone. Happy coding.